All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to decode this really fascinating text from Christy Anderson. And what's wild is that it uses poetry to hide this massive secret. It's all about your own personal power and how you can reclaim something you probably never even knew was missing in the first place.
So, the whole thing kicks off with this simple but powerful idea. The source text says this crown, it's not some special privilege for a select few. Nope. It's a universal birthright. It belongs to you, plain and simple, no matter who you are.
But here's the twist, right out of the gate. Just imagine that for a second. You have this incredibly valuable inheritance, a birthright, but nobody ever told you about it. It's just sitting there, unknown. That's the mystery we're going to unravel. So where do we even start? Well, this whole journey begins with one core understanding. Something essential to you has gone missing. And listen, this isn't about you trying to find some new power you've never had. It's about reclaiming a power that was stolen.
Okay, so let's get really clear on what we're talking about here. This crown, it's a metaphor, right? It stands for your inherent worth, your personal power. The key thing is, it's not something you have to go out and earn or build from scratch. The text is arguing it was yours from the very beginning, from the moment you got here.
So that raises a big question, doesn't it? If we all have this crown, why don't most of us feel it? The text actually gives a diagnosis for this. It calls it a kind of modern-day malaise, a sickness that's keeping us from our own power. So let's take a look at the symptoms.
So here's how the source breaks down our condition. We're flooded with knowledge, but we're not using it for wisdom. We're just taking it for granted. We're constantly fishing for more entertainment instead of real nutrition. And the result? This constant state of confusion, this feeling of mixed-up monkey brains that just makes us feel old way before our time.
And man, this next line just hits hard. It really shows the consequence of all this. All that constant distraction, all that passive consumption, it literally erodes our ability to think for ourselves. We end up becoming, as the text says, a class of fiction with no mind of its own anymore. Just characters in a story someone else is writing for us.
And the text paints such a vivid picture of these distractions, We're just glued to the TV, watching the stunned shock the monkey, passively waiting for the good times to roll in with the new year. But while we're sitting around waiting, real opportunities, that new tide, they just pass us by. We completely miss our flight. So you have to ask, is all of this just happening by accident? According to this text, absolutely not. In fact, it introduces a whole cast of characters, these powers that be, who are actually benefiting from all this confusion. And this is interesting. The source doesn't just blame some vague, faceless system. It actually names names. It points to the king and queen, to the higher-ups, and it accuses them of actively taking what is yours. We're talking your crown, your leftover IOUs, even the very deeds to your life.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? They covet it all and you get none of it. It perfectly captures this dynamic. It's a system that's literally designed to pull power and value away from you, the individual. Okay, but how do they actually pull this off? How do they maintain control? Well, it's not through brute force. It's something way more subtle. Their entire power structure relies on keeping one single, crucial piece of knowledge hidden from you.
And boom, there it is. That's the secret. You make the rules, but they won't remind you of it. Think about that. Your whole reality is built on rules that you have the power to create. But they thrive, they absolutely depend on you never, ever figuring that out. Your personal agency is the one thing they can't control, so they just pretend it doesn't exist.
Okay, wow. So we've laid out the problem, we've identified the bad guys, and yeah, that can feel pretty bleak. But here's the good news. This text isn't just a diagnosis, it's a manual for a revolution. It's about taking it all back. So let's talk about the solution.
All right, so the solution is a paradox. To get your crown back, you have to bow down first. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds nuts, right? Bow down to the very people who took everything? But the text is super clear on this. This act of bowing down, it's not what you think it is. And here is the absolute key to understanding this. Bowing down isn't about submission. It's about reception. You're not giving them honor. You are putting yourself in a posture to finally receive what has been rightfully yours all along. You're switching into what the text calls receiving mode. So when you break it down, the path is actually pretty simple. Step 1, bow down. Step 2, enter that receiving mode. And step 3, receive your crown.
It's a posture of opening up, an act of accepting, and finally claiming that birthright you were never even told you had.
Okay, but that's the big question, right? This whole crown thing is a powerful metaphor, for sure. But what about right now? What about your actual day-to-day circumstances? How do you start making this shift in a real tangible way, like today?
Well, according to the source, the whole revolution starts inside your head. The instruction couldn't be simpler. Think now. It says you can even think it out in a song. It's all about an internal shift of awareness. And you know what the best part is? It's totally subtle. They'll never know you figured it out now. You're reclaiming your power right under their noses.
And all of this, it all leads to this final massive shift in perspective. We're talking about flipping the entire established power dynamic completely on its head.
Think about it. The whole system we've been talking about is built on one thing: you honoring them. But the core truth of this text is the complete 180-degree opposite. You are the one who is meant to be honored in this life. And get this isn't something you're supposed to do all on your own. The text actually calls for a kind of collective remembering. It says we need to remind each other of how you became you. We have a responsibility to help each other shake off that fictional story and remember who we really are, our true, powerful selves.
So, when it all comes down to it, reclaiming your crown isn't about some huge transformation into someone new. It's much simpler than that. It's about remembering the power you've literally had all along, the power that's just been buried under all the noise, all the distractions, and all the fiction.
And so that's the final thought I really want to leave you with. This isn't just some abstract poetic idea. It's a choice that's available to you right now. So, what would actually change in your life if you decided to enter receiving mode? If you chose to accept that you're the one who makes the rules? What would change for you, starting this very moment?